Get ready to dive into a world where empires stand on the brink of war and terrible monsters tear at the fragile borderlands of men. The Adventurer-Conqueror King System Imperial Imprint, or as we like to call it, Acts 2, is now live on Kickstarter. Acts 2 is the new edition of the acclaimed best-selling fantasy role-playing game. You'll find everything you need to enjoy epic fantasy campaigns with a sweeping scope. Whether you want to crawl through dungeons, experiment with alchemy, crossbreed monsters, run a merchant emporium, raise an undead legion, or even conquer an empire, Acts 2 supports your playstyle. Acts 2 integrates experience point mechanics, making campaign activities a seamless part of the core gameplay loop. Your character levels up in new and exciting ways each time you play, adding massive replayability to each of your adventures. Acts 2 offers 18 character classes, 378 spells, new combat mechanics, and so much more. Support Acts 2 on Kickstarter today.
Giant or somewhere in between. Round the table with your friends, playing Dungeons and Dragons. And if life ever knocks you down, your dice will surely turn around. Roll your stats, it's time to quest. Let's put your characters to the test.
Hello and welcome to Knocked Prone, a podcast of high crits, small fits, and varying wits. My name is Cade, and I'm the host and dungeon master of this Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure. And I'm joined here by the players. To my left,
Mason playing Look Here.
Brooklyn playing Litsea.
Jameson playing Jack.
Danny playing Tess.
Caden playing Torinn.
Awesome. Last session, the party investigated a purple goop factory right outside of Great Grumbopolis. With the help of Boggy Billy, they formulated a plan of attack to get into Great Grumbopolis and to take out Amalek. The party went to sleep, and during Boggy Billy's watch, he revealed himself to be Amalek. You guys got a brief glimpse of him as you were opening your eyes as he attacked you. Somehow simultaneously, there appeared to be 5 half tiger, half men in your guys' dreams that you had, and he attacked you and then promptly disappeared. You guys now know that Boggy Billy was Amalek and are now awake at the end of your long rest, but not with the benefit of a long rest. What are you guys doing?
I suppose I would wake up and realize, hey, I'm not as rested as I should be, and cast Greater Restoration on Lakir.
Okay.
And as I'm waking up, starting to piece together a little bit of what's going on. It makes sense. He would disguise himself as a trusted ally as we're kind of sitting down for a little bit, because I have no spell slots back, so I need to take a rest of my own. As it stands, he knows our plans of how we plan to get up. I don't think that teleportation is necessarily the greatest option any longer, considering we don't know what he'll have waiting for us, and with the pipes not being an option either, I think that leaves us with either constructing some way to climb up to Great Grumbopolis or using our magic to fly. But where we are not entirely rested at the moment, it'll be difficult if we can muster that magic. What do we want to do?
Flying sounds like probably the better option, but I can't believe that was... I guess that means Boggy Billy's still dead. At some point, we need to go back there. I think I can still save him.
All right. Yes.
I've been practicing bringing things back to life.
All right. Well, yes. I think after... I don't know who would take us back to the Fae at this time, though. Definitely be something that we can explore.
Oh, we did take him into the Fae. Oh, no. I guess that complicates things.
The body would still be old here as well. Fort Outcast wasn't destroyed when we left, and who knows how much time passed before we came back and it was.
I can't believe... I guess Boggy Billy's dead then.
There are still ways we can bring him back. I'm confident in it, and it's something I promised him. But we can get back to that after we deal with my father.
Yes,
we need to deal with the here and now.
Yes, and there's more important things at hand.
I think the best way is to rest, recover, and fight him at our full strength. He knows we're coming, he's going to have his defenses prepared, and if we go in now, we may as well just be dead. I'm useless without my spells, and I don't know exactly how full of energy the rest of you are. So as part of this next, hour that we've been talking and figuring out what our new plan is, I will get half my level rounded down in spells back, so I get up to 4th level spells. So I'll just take that as a 3rd and 1st level.
Okay.
And I'll use 3rd level remove curse. Who needs it? the most?
I didn't use that many spells.
I may have used a lot of my spells last night. I feel like an absolute fool for trusting somebody who we should have known wasn't Boggy Billy, but am definitely not ready for combat right now.
All right, and I'll cast Remove Curse on Litsea. We'll rest for what we can. Torinn, do you have enough capacity to restore yourself, or are you...
Yeah, I'm taken care of, and I got plenty of spell slots.
All right, I think we three will rest if you two would be willing to keep watch. After 4 hours, I will be back at my capacity, and I can be able to remove the remaining curses on you two, in which case you can take a small rest if you need. All right, well, everyone sleep well for what you can. Maybe our last. Who knows? Good night.
Who is keeping watch as you guys are resting?
I'm keeping watch, Tess.
Roll me a perception check, Tess.
15.
So with a 15, you notice fire in the distance. And for a second, you almost think, oh, well, the forest was on fire. This must be a small fire. But small bobbing sticks of fire start to come into the distance, and you notice a massive army heading your way. What do you do?
Do I recognize anybody or like
It's in the
any
distance,
symbols?
but if you would like to roll me a perception check with disadvantage.
11.
11?
Yeah, trying to figure out what this army is, if we know them.
It's really dang blurry. They look like lights in the sky. They look like little stars coming towards you.
Perhaps we should wake these guys up, just in case, and I'll go...
Charging towards us right now?
They're
I
on
was
their
gonna
way
say, how fast?
directly towards you. They are
Like,
with
if we
haste.
don't do anything, how
They're
long do we
running.
think
They're
until they
running.
get here?
So they were on the horizon before. They're 300 yards.
Okay, I'm gonna walk forward like...
They're coming at you
So
fast.
we're not resting.
Oh no, I'm not gonna... let's wake everybody up.
Wake up!
Sorry to interrupt your rest, but,
Again.
we're being attacked.
It's time to go, everybody.
Okay, immediately, just like sprinting in the other direction, hoping that everybody else follows me because I have questions. I'm gonna notice that nobody is sprinting next to me right now, and I went from like hoping to like talk and collaborate to like every man for themselves. I am still sprinting full speed ahead.
I'll take out my bow, and I'll start running in the direction of Litsea. Run it to diagonal. If they're coming for us, we'll know to keep running. If not, we can hide. And then I would like to hide.
Moving north, are there any terrain features that we could get behind to lose line of sight with this army?
You notice a massive field full of flowers to the north. You notice to the west a forest of trees that look to be being cleared right now. You don't know by what. To the east, you see the burned down forest, and to the south, you see this large army.
Rolled a 5 for stealth, so I'm just in a burnt out forest, dressed in all blue, and just like my flowing robes are like going around a tree, and I'm not hidden whatsoever.
Wonderful.
I'm gonna say that I didn't hear Lakir, like
Right.
being facing away from him and already had running like kind of ahead of everyone. So I am still just due north as fast as my little legs can take me.
So all of you guys are running, right?
I don't think Jack is running yet.
Okay.
I think he's still there.
I'm like maintaining the same distance. I'm like positioned in the middle of all three of them. Just kind of like backing up. Like, I don't know where to go.
Wow, if this says
Panic,
that
panic,
we
panic.
are losing some group synergy here, I don't know what says.
So I guess I'll look to these two and say, are you sticking around with me, or are you leaving? You running
Are
away?
you sticking around?
I'm sticking around.
I'll hold my ground, Torinn.
Okay.
I'll like stop backing up and also kind of hold ground. Just like if people are holding their ground, I
Here's,
guess
like,
we're holding their
180
ground.
feet away, just hiding behind a tree. Just
I'm gonna,
Litsea has a quick back.
I'm gonna try to call out for Litsea. Litsea, I think they might want to stay.
So wait, so I'm running north. You said the flowers are north?
The flowers are north.
Okay, so before I hit the flowers, I'm going, I don't know if I'm there yet.
Okay.
I don't know how far they are. But before I hit the flowers, I'm going to stop in my tracks.
Okay.
And then just turn around and check in to see where everyone else is.
You see the grouping of Jack, Tess, and Torinn, who are all kind of puffing up their chests and looking ready to at least face the oncoming
Army?
assailants. And then Lakir, you see, is quickly making ground behind you.
Yeah, so I'm just going to wait to see what happens when the freaking army hits the 3 party
Yeah, just
members.
run. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
But I'm avoiding the flowers, absolutely traumatized from the last time we got knocked out by a field of flowers.
Sounds great.
Since they're staying with me, I'm gonna say, stand close to me, and I'm casting Wall of Force in like a hemispherical dome. So it's half sphere around us, and it's literally impenetrable.
As you cast Wall of Force, go ahead and make a wild magic check for me.
Unnatural 20, and then 60.
So 60, your charisma modifier, Torinn, increases by 5.
Oh my gosh! That's what I'm talking about.
So you create this huge wall of force. As you see this army going towards you, I need the 3 of you to make me another perception check.
Total of 26.
26?
23.
23?
That's 7.
7? Okay. Jack and Tess, you notice the fur-covered race of gnolls approaching you, all running Naruto style, carrying... 4 of them are carrying a large throne on their backs, and on top of it is the gnoll that you recognize to be Blink.
Let's see. It's the gnolls.
Sorry.
You'll just see Lakir just coming out of the tree, just throwing his bow down and just being like exhausted.
Exactly. As soon as I see the gnolls, I assume they approach and like slow down.
Yeah,
So ticked off.
The gnolls, Naruto style running, start using the palms of their heels for a little bit as they approach you, Torinn, and they all start bending their backs 90 degrees to make a step stool ladder, basically, for this gnoll king Blink to step off of his throne and say, I thought I recognized somebody. You called?
Yes, I thought I sensed the presence of a handsome devil.
And he starts flicking in the air haphazardly, and the crowd behind makes like a terrified, like a fake terrified.
Jack thinks this is hilarious. By the way, because he has no idea who these gnolls are, he's watching this interaction, and then and he's like, what?
You see the bird, Tess, that you sent to get the gnolls perched on one of the servants of this gnoll king's shoulder.
Thanks for joining us.
I'll kind of walk forward and say, Your exalted flickiness, we appreciate you coming, actually. I'm glad that we called you, and I apologize for our anxious reaction. We were actually caught a bit in our sleep by the enemy, and so we have been unable to sufficiently rest. Would your troop be willing, or wanting especially, after marching so far, to take a load off and help us rest? Perhaps build up a siege encampment before we begin.
Wonderful, yeah. And in the distance, you hear a, hey guys, hey! And like you see a bunch of gnolls parting, and in the distance, you see a small dwarven man wearing a blue arm bracelet around his left arm. You recognize Takkin. It's so good to see you. It's been months. You've been gone for so long. I just assumed you'd have died. I tried to find you. You were nowhere to be found, and I had to leave. Just getting real dodgy in Great Grumbopolis, so I had to leave, and I found this group of people. I just made the description of you, and one of them was like, oh, and they made a flicking gesture towards me, and I've been treated really well. I've been getting daily massages, daily hot cocoa. It's quite the life of luxury, but I'm so glad you're back.
Tess is gonna just run over and hug Takkin since they had been hitting it off right before we left. And I'm gonna ask him, now I know things got crazy, so I would never blame you, but have you been able to take care of Big Boy?
Oh, the sheep! And calls forward towards the gnolls, and again, the gnolls part, and you see the familiar black sheep that you guys met in the first or second episode of this podcast.
Thank you.
Well, turns out I don't really much like lamb, so...
But I will run over and start grooming him a little bit, sit down, chill, wait for things to play out.
Yeah, wonderful.
Are we able to resume our long rest since not like a ton happened?
Yes.
Or
do you need some curse removal?
We do.
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure that the sheep can cast something, and he casts remove curse on the sheep, and the sheep kind of licks your hand, and it flows through the sheep and into you, and your curse is now removed. Takkin is a cleric, by the way.
Wow, thank you again.
Well, it wasn't me, it was Big Boy.
we're getting ready to rest, and I'm sure that while Tess is fine spell-wise, he would enjoy a bit of sleep as well. Would you be willing to head the gnolls in their watch to make sure that nothing attacks while we are.
Of course. If any of you want to stay up, I could recount some of the stories of what happened in Great Grumbopolis while...
Me!
You want to stay awake?
Yes.
Are you familiar with what happened in Great I don't recognize you.
I'm new.
Okay.
I came from a different time period entirely.
Oh!
This is my future. Hello.
Oh, well, I don't remember if I have a past, so... My
Me
name's
either.
Takkin.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jack.
Oh, hi, Jack. He starts clearing a space for a little campfire that he quickly makes, and he makes 14 seats. Through the crowd of gnolls, you see a group of rangers who come and sit down. 14 children rangers come and sit down around this little campfire that he's created, and he starts telling his tale. These are the rangers that you guys saved from Great Grumbopolis.
I was going to ask that.
Yes, these are the same rangers who probably would have been freaking killed if you hadn't done something.
So they were able to remove the purple goop curse.
As you look at these children, you notice that they don't have any curses on them. They're not affected by the purple goop. It took me a very long time, but I figured something out for it, and, well, I got them out, so they're doing okay.
What did you do?
I cast some high-level spells, and, well, it seemed to work.
I lean in closer and I'm like, what high-level spells?
He kind of describes some cleric spells that you actually don't recognize as being typically taught cleric spells. It seems that he has kind of homebrewed, if you will, his own spell to remove this purple goop. Who is going to sleep and who's staying up to hear Takkin's story?
Sleeping.
I'll stay up for a little while.
Right.
And
you
then
only need 4 hours.
Yeah, I only need 4 hours and then rest when I can.
I will sleep.
I'll write, just scribe his stories down so that there's a record of them.
Before I do go to sleep, I'll walk up and I'll show him the bottle of purple goop that I have. Do you have any spells that would remove Raven and Amulek's control over people who are under this goop?
That is part of, I guess, my story. Speaking of which, look here, you read these research notes, and what you gleaned from them is this purple goop is basically deconstructed magic of some kind. They aren't quite sure, but it seems that Takkin has the answer. And so Takkin starts delving into his story. I stayed in that giant mushroom for what seemed like forever. I heard the screams of people outside. I watched from a window as people were turned into monsters, and slowly the cleric's hive, instead of producing honey, started to produce a vile purple liquid, just like the one that you're showing me here, Torinn. And people ate it, because it was their only sustenance that they could have, since the rangers were what we thought killed by the gnolls. I did not partake, though. I made sure to scavenge for myself. I came down as much as I could and got a food supply. There was an underground ran by wizards and guards Captain Fluffy Hands, and they got food for the select, of which they, for whatever reason, decided that I should be a part of, and we resisted against whatever was happening. And what we found was this purple goop seems to be deconstructed magic. Not just one style of magic like necromancy or illusion or evocation, but every single type of magic put together in its most basic and chaotic form. This is magic in a raw and devastating form. At first, when the artificers and the clerics found out, they wanted more of it, so they started crafting this fracking machine you see here, and we were drilling more to try and experiment and find ways to uncorrupt it and to take it from this basic form and put it into something more useful. Something that wouldn't just harm people, as we'd seen people from above be harmed. And Amalek found out that we were doing what we were doing, and it seemed like we played right into his plans, because he made sure that our goop fracking station, a direct supply chain was made immediately that went to his quarters. Everyone thought that Oleander was still in power, but slowly Oleander no longer made appearances, and we don't know what happened to him, but Amalek kind of became this puppet master, almost. He came out and told exactly what Oleander had said and what Oleander commanded, but we never saw Oleander anymore. Anyway, that's kind of the long answer of what you were hoping, but I think... Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, thanks.
Yeah, of course, Blink. Oh, one of these gnolls was saying that your name's not Blink anymore and that they've taken that name. What do they call you now?
I have a grown-up name.
Oh, I see.
I'm a real man.
Yeah, that's right. It's Torinn now.
All right. Well, Torinn, it's very nice to meet you, and I will let you get back to your sleep as I continue to tell my story.
I am now enthralled, and I'm 100% staying up.
So, in Great Grumbopolis, there was, like I said, resistance. The wizards were the most open about the resistance. Amalek had none of it. As you might know, he did not like the wizards very much.
We ran into a group that were escaping. Originally, it's who we left the rangers with. Are they with you any longer?
I'll get to that in a moment. Because those wizards, they were kicked out of Great Grumbopolis for being insubordinate. They made camp right underneath Amalek's nose, almost mocking, in a way, of staying right below Great Grumbopolis. And, well, Amalek sent his forces. And we have a few wizards with us today, but nowhere near the number that we once had. He sent wave after wave of them until they were effectively wiped out. The few that did run to try and survive found the knolls, and because they said that they knew you, the wizards found refuge there. And, well, I stayed, and I watched. I tried to provide as much help from above as I could to the people who I knew who had been wrongfully kicked out. The more that Oleander stopped coming outside, the more that the rainbow faded, and now it's gone. The gnolls have thrived because of the rainbow being gone, because it's no longer an icy desert underneath, but, well, it's not necessarily a good sign that Oleander's rainbow just ceased to exist. We don't know what happened. Eventually, the Crimson Guard, their leader, was found out. Captain Fluffy Hands was found to have been colluding with the underground of helping out the citizens of Great Grumbopolis not to be changed into these horrifying monsters that were being formed. And because Amalek had realized that kicking out people of Great Grumbopolis was no longer something that would be sustainable for him. If he kept kicking out people, he'd be making more enemies. He captured Captain Fluffy Hands and he put him in a magical item around his neck. That's where he stays. He's captured. He's a prisoner on the very neck of the man he was fighting so hard against. We saw Amalek go through changes. He started to become a demon. He started to exhibit these tiger-like qualities and started to bring people into his lairs who didn't return. He'd bring people in and he'd come out and then you never saw that person again. He got stronger and stronger, and eventually he started to weaponize the Crimson Guard because he put one of his in command, one of his top men from the historian's library in top command of the Crimson Guard, and so he had control of the Crimson Guard, and the Crimson Guard instructed the artificers to make the healbots into weapons of war, to corrupt them, to feed them the purple goop, to make them bigger, stronger, faster, so that they could stop any forces that came in. What Amalek did not intend for, though, is, like I said, this purple goop is magic in its most chaotic form. 1 in 100 of these healbots, the purple goop latched onto and started grafting bodies, making these anomalies of people. And he'll call forward
a race of 30 people who, without a second glance, you probably would have mistaken for citizens that you were familiar with of Great Grumbopolis. Their steel plates poke through skin that looks like it has never seen the sunlight. Gears shift underneath to express their emotions, though the gleam in each of their crystalline green eyes hints at their sentience. The horde of anomaly-born healbots all stand with a militaristic rigidity, straight-backed with each of their hands against their sides. Half machine, half human. You can tell they have the purple goop kind of cursing them, similar to how Tess does, but they seem to have some semblance of sentience through this purple goop. I escaped with them. When they started to rebel, they started to say, this is not right. We're not made for war, but we're made to heal. He kicked them out, and he sent them to the gnolls. And the gnolls, well, they muttered something about the Ascension. For a long, long time, they said, the Ascension, the Ascension, the Ascension. I do not know what that means, but the gnolls have accepted them all the same. But with a large portion of the healbots turned into these anomalies of people, the Crimson Guard's numbers dwindled, but because of which, Amalek started to put in more resources into the Crimson Guard. They started becoming deadly, well-trained, oiled machines of people, so to speak. They replaced the machines that left. They fight using their powers bolstered by this purple goop to keep everyone out and to make sure that Amalek stays in power. The druids used this purple goop that was being produced by the honey to create giant livestock. The people who ingested this livestock that was growing bigger and bigger, they made it more sustainable for the people of Great Grumbopolis. You can only live off honey for so long. And so people started to eat more and more of these purple goop infested creatures. And well, as more of people were eating the purple goop, it seemed that the corruption of the purple goop started to take over their minds. They didn't care where Oleander went. They didn't care that Amalek was now in power. They only cared about their next meal and power of themselves and a fix to help keep their darkness in control. But they didn't see that the purple goop that was keeping them into control was actually taking their control away. Like I said, the artificers built these machines to frack the purple goop, but after Amalek found the fracking station and used it for his power, he rewarded the artificers and said, if you can make me more machines like this, I'll give you more food. And what does a people do when they are out of food but work harder to try and get more food, to try and survive for their own people? And so the aura of the artificers started producing more and more magic items for Amalek. They started doing routine checkups of these heal bots to make sure that no more anomalies happened. The ones that stayed behind, that is. With whatever time they weren't making magic items for Amalek or inspecting heal bots, they started clearing away trees towards a new civilization that Amalek had told about. And you see just a giant hole in the forest to the west of Great Grumbopolis has been formed, and a large billowing cloud of smoke is in the distance. It seems like there's a heavy machine that is just clearing this forest. Takkin looks deeply into the embers of the fire, breathes in a heavy breath as he continues. All this, you'd think, how could this be possible? It's all kept in place by the historians. Anyone who steps out of line, they erase your book. Anyone who does something contrary to what Amalek wants, they erase your existence. They take away your pages. But I already had my pages taken away, and you know what's freeing? If there's no pages left in your book to write, nothing can be changed about you. All the pages are ripped out of my book, and so, though I might not have a memory of what I was before, a vague memory at least of that, I do know that whatever I'm doing now is my own decision and my own plan.
We have our books, so he shouldn't be able to change ours, but the haircuts. Can he use our hair to make more?
I'm not entirely sure, but of course with many spells of divine nature, a essence or object of the person does assist in arcane workings against them. I fear more that he won't be able to impact us as much as he will be able to, at least from a distance, as much as he'll have a bit of an easier time when he actually tries to target us. He's has part of our essence. He has part of us that he's able to use in the crafting of his spells. I do have two questions. One, what is of my brother, Alexander?
He's the head of the Crimson Guard now. Who else would your father entrust but one of his own?
I thought so. And my mother? Is she changed or has she stayed the same?
Similar to Oleander. Gone.
Well, neither of those come as particular surprises, but it is good to know nonetheless. Thank you. I'll leave this story as of now. I need to get some rest. But I'll leave you to speak with everyone else to put our questions at ease, I guess.
Before you go to sleep, I'd like a question of my own, I guess. We, a people of the Knolls, saw Amalek leave one day with a huge, of course, entourage to make sure that no one touched him, and we didn't dare. But he came back with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people from the east.
Fort Outcast, yes.
Oh, there's others. There's more out there. Why would they join him?
He leveled their homes, so they didn't have a choice.
Oh, right. With the numbers that he has of Fort Outcast, as you say, and the numbers that he has of Crimson Guard and Healbots, it's a war zone up there. That's just, it's a minefield, if you, as you say, that's just waiting for one false step to blow the whole thing sky high, so to speak, of course. I don't know how dangerous it'll be to go in there. I don't know if you plan to go in there, but I've been waiting here for hope. Waiting to be a beacon of some kind, at least for the people who left, and hoping to see a few return. And seeing that you have, I'm better for it.
Well, and we do have a evacuation effort of some kind. If people aren't too corrupted or too far gone, expedient to get them out of the city. where you're an old face that many may not recognize but find familiar,
Right.
you may be able to assist in breaking through with them. Would that be something you're interested in leading?
I would be interested in that, as well as you can see, I've been able to take care of the purple goop a little bit, out of these rangers, that is. Purple goop is not an easy thing to be cracked. It's not something that is so easy to take out of a person, but do you know of the witch, Tasha?
I have seen a few of her writings, though sparse, yes.
Well, it was only through her witch abilities that I studied, almost out of pure desperation, that I found that is the only thing that I have found to be effective towards taking the goop out of people.
With your familiarity with this, I think it makes you all the much better to lead our evacuation effort, as we say. You can determine who and who not is reasonable, who is able to actually overcome their senses, or who could be treated within reason. I've seen that the goop can turn these people into monsters into even more so, and it would not surprise me that at a certain point they become something else entirely. Something other than what they were. At least from what I've seen of it.
What happened to Scout Gummy Snipes and Aelwyn?
Aelwyn and Scoutmaster Gummy Snipes were part of the underground with myself. They were locked away in prison, initially for the murder of the Rangers. But I'm actually interested that you said this, because though I know that this is not true, your presence in Great Grumbopolis might not be so welcome. You see, everyone there was given the information that the Grey Aura killed the wizards. The Grey Aura killed the leader of the Crimson Guard. The Grey Aura is the problem that is behind all of the things that are happening in Great Grumbopolis. And so, somewhat of a civilian's watch has gone out for people to call out if they see any member of the Grey Aura, to either attack if they feel capable, or to sound the alarm of sorts to get the Crimson Guard and Amalek involved.
We fly in, right? What if we flew in the same place that we left? You still have your hat, so you can pass through if needed. What if they're still keeping books on everyone? What if we just wipe all their memories? They'll have nothing to go off of, they'll be confused, and we may just be able to convince them to run. I'm assuming it will be under heavy guard, but if it ends up removing the rest of the resistance from the city, it may be well worth it. Of course, if we just defeat my father in the first place, we may be able to end the corruption influencing most. I don't know. It's just an idea.
Do you think it's possible to remove the pages and then return the memories?
Possibly. I have been victim to several memory spells, and when a spell of sufficient magic was cast upon me, I was able to regain myself. So, maybe, but I'm not entirely sure. Litsy's not awake, but what I recall, did Litsea get her memory back? Because she had a lot of her memories tampered with in her book. But did she ever get any of her memories back when we...
Even though Litsea has left Great Grumbopolis and her book has been tampered with, she was told kind of the truth, basically, about a lot of her memories. The memories that you have, that Litsea would have in her head, is of being told of the memories. And there's almost like foggy information in the back of her brain that told her that it was true, though it's not, like you said, it's not like a primary source. It's very much a secondhand source.
So memories can become familiar, almost like deja vu, but you will never have them completely back. At least, not in my experience. But it's an option. Aside from that, my only other thought is a tactical strike. He says that he's been sitting in Oleander's office for the past while. People go in and only he comes out. If that's his main place of residence, then a precision operation, rather. Something that we're able to do. And actually, we could do something similar to both. The library is in the underground of Oleander's castle. If we get into the library, we can attempt to sneak past guards or something like that, or even fight through them and be at my father's doorstep. Although, we'll be fighting on his turf, but I think it's something that we need to do. We need to show him that we are stronger than him, even with all of his advantages. We are the sweeter. Tess, if you have any magics aiding in stealth or illusion, I think it best to prepare those.
Yeah, I do have some. Unfortunately, I did give my free uses of them to Amalek.
We'll get them back. Don't worry. I'm confident of it. I feel that this can only really end two ways. And either way, I don't think that there'll be any room left to regret. A bit freeing. You'll see him a bit alleviated as he goes off and resumes his trance.
Tess is also getting fairly tired, and even though may not get a full long rest, will also go over and take what little rest he can still get.
Yeah, so you guys can take your long rest. Takkin and the gnolls and the rangers keep watch. Blink, the gnoll, starts showing off some of his flicking moves to the rangers, and the rangers start flicking gnolls, and then they look at the Gnoll King Blink and look back at the rangers, and the Gnoll King Blink gives a solemn nod, and the gnolls all just fly 50 feet of gnolls just pile backwards as they pretend to be flicked to death by these rangers.
I'll assume this is making some noise, and so you'll see just Lakir's eye open half during his trance, and he'll just cast silence on himself, and then just go back to sleep.
You guys get your full rest in. I won't have anyone roll watches because you have an entire army with you. Speaking of armies, I don't know whether you guys are planning on going to into Great Grumbopolis or not today, or whether you're planning on storming the castle in a sense. You do have, Litsea, I just want to remind you that you do have a sending stone that is paired basically with, you have your Fave 5. Number 1 is Lilith Flame Pike, so you can press speed dial and get Lilith on the horn get an entire army also with you from Fort Outcast.
If we have two armies, we could have one inside and one outside. Potentially the gnolls, who are more experienced in fighting, for one, would be internal. Takkin would be able to identify those who are trying to escape. If we come with a certain mark that we're able to put on them, then the people outside know who to help retreat. Does that work with you, Takkin?
That works with me. How will I know whether somebody's too far gone or not?
Well, you said that you've worked with people before of purple goop. It's hard to get out.
Yes.
So anyone you feel confident that you would be able to get the goop out of is someone that you would put this mark on.
Okay.
And anyone willing to obviously retreat. If they're not willing to leave the city, there's no need to mark them.
Right.
Do you have access to simple magics, such as a prestidigitation spell or thaumaturgy? That would be perfect. Perhaps a blue band around the arm to signify.
A blue band, of course.
I think that works. What if under the cover of night?
I think one thing we have to think about real quick is, with the rainbow gone, how are we going to evacuate these people?
Precisely what I was getting to. If the gnolls have rope, we can bring that up when we fly. We can tie it to an anchor point above, and it provides a normal way for those going in or out. If we're able to find other directions, say if we're able to get a team in who is able to lower a second rope, perhaps from the ranger's hut that we originally escaped out of, then we can have two...
Before I left Great Grumbopolis, I had been creating a hole in the wall behind the library that we could probably use as a third point of access.
We could use that as a primary access. I doubt anyone would be expecting us there. It's not a typical means of entry. Why didn't you bring this up before?
It didn't seem to matter since we had gotten away, but it's been a while. I've forgotten that I was making it.
Why don't we use that, and then...
It's not entirely done. It might be allowed to finish.
Well, it's something we can work on. We have Litsea's cannon. We can use it as a means of escape if need.
I'm just saying I don't think it'd be a particularly stealthy option, but probably a point of access.
Well, I think we fly up with a rope, tie it off, and that is how we get people in. When we are able to start funneling people out, we have an exit route and move them through there. If we are securing the area that we anchor a rope off, they can begin climbing it. The rangers showed an aptitude to be able to climb that distance, so we know it isn't impossible. We can start funneling people in and out that way. If we secure the anchor point, then time isn't as big of an issue. We can have, say, we get a squad of 10 people up there that's able to defend. They're able to get regular reinforcements until we're able to push out and make a stand. All the while, we are making precision attacks at different locations in which it's distracting forces. They're either forced to funnel their troops towards where we broke in, or they have to stop us in the midst, which is a bit more difficult. It'll cause chaos, confusion. I think it will work. I'm not a siege expert by any means. All I have are the books that I've read.
I think you're the closest thing we've got.
Well, is anyone ready to start flying?
I believe so. I'll look at the gnolls. over the day, can we have said that they were making some rope ladders and...
Yes. So you notice that these gnolls, as you're like talking to them about like, you have rope, right? Like you're a civilized civilization with rope. And these people who are evolved from hyenas like look around for a little while, and one of them, the person in the massage parlor who is in charge of waxings, comes forward with a huge vat of wax and starts just hair off of every single one of the gnolls.
Oh my god!
To make rope with, because they're like, oh, of course, every civilization has ropes and flickings. That's what high society is. And so
now we're gonna have a bunch of like naked hyena men. It's a part
Akira
of
will
our
look on in
army.
like a bit of disgust and then nod approvingly, like.
So the gnolls, while you guys are resting, you just hear the screams of gnolls, like, ah! You awaken to a huge army of naked gnoll rats, and devoid of fur at this point. They still have their clothing on, obviously, so they're not that type of naked, but they have rope ladders completely fabricated for you guys. They spent a long time knitting them together, basically.
All right, who can cast fly?
I have a broom for myself.
I forgot about your room.
300 pounds of people can fit on that.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
And you like are teeny.
I'm less than 300 pounds.
All right, so you and me.
Statement.
You and me on the broom. You're ready to hang on for your dear life. I'm not very experienced with it, especially hundreds of feet up in the air.
Okay, and then Jack has fly, correct?
And I'll cast fly on myself.
Torinn, do you have fly?
Negative.
Oh, I will cast fly at 4th level then, and we'll cast it on myself and him.
Okay, so you guys all begin to levitate. The gnolls wave at you from below. Who is taking the hair ladder up?
Maybe we should take the ladder. I think I have an idea to quietly open up that hole I was talking about.
Lead the way.
Tess, you pick up this hairy rope ladder. It's like super greasy, as you can tell that these hyenas haven't been bathed recently.
Prestidigitation the place you're holding.
Yeah, you prestidigitation
Thank you.
some of the grease away from this gnoll hair ladder, and you guys fly up to Great Grumbopolis, and you find Tess, the familiar spot that you had chiseled away with like a spoon to try and get out of Great Grumbopolis. What are you doing to try and get in?
So, yeah, I'll tell Litsea, like, okay, hold it steady.
I can cast Wall of Stone. The base of the spell is 10 foot by 10 foot panels, but I can do them 3 inches thick instead of 6 inches thick, and they can be 10 by 20 feet. So I could do 200 feet of wall with one spell, and if I concentrate for 10 minutes, it becomes permanent. So I could make a ramp up to 400 feet if I use both my spell slots, and that way we just have a stone ramp.
And then if we
think
just
that
blow
would be
through
more
the hole,
efficient, then we can just have everyone.
Go right to the hole.
yeah, I think that would work actually pretty well. If we want to go in, you and I, because I believe, and I'll ask, let's see, do you still have the hat that I wore into the thing in your bag?
Yes.
I'll take that. You and I go that way. We can go through the library and meet up with them on the other side of the hole. We can, if we get into a scuffle, they can come and bail us out. And if we can get access to the books or something like that, then even better. It would leave us with 2 points of entry, although a direct route does seem more than enough.
While Jack is, like, preparing to make the ramp, when we fly over, the way I'm opening up the hole is I have my, like, bucket of water with me that I make for my shield, but I'm going to shape water and, like, push it into the rock.
Okay.
And then, like, ice it. And then, like...
The power of erosion.
Yeah, and so I'll just do that for, like, the next, like, 10, 20 minutes, just kind of, like, shaping water around as we're flying, like, under Great Grumbopolis, trying not to get seen. Shaping water into the hole, just kind of pushing it in, making it, like, ice, and then taking it out, just trying to, like, slowly break the hole the rest of the way.
Yes, and as you are trying to erode basically this hole away more, now with your new shape water abilities, you bust through this hole that you've created, and make me a stealth check.
And while this is going on, I was going to say, me and him will take the rope ladder to the ranger's hut. Has it been patched over, or is it still just open?
No, you still notice that the hole underneath where the ranger's headquarters used to be is still there.
Seeing the hole in it, I'll put my finger up and just snap and put Phoenix up there and look through his eyes and just take a look. Is anything in the ranger's hut currently?
The ranger's hut, as you recall, is decimated. It is open. There you can see Great Grumbopolis.
Okay.
And as Takkin kind of described, it is a picture of horror. There are buildings overrun with purple goop flowing out of them. There are massive, huge, hulking figures banging their feet into the ground as purple electricity crackles off of them. And you basically see Great Grumbopolis as this place of misery and nightmare.
I just want to wait for a time that is clear, and then Torinn and I just want to find a place that we can tie the ladder off, and then I just want to fly straight back through the hole and back to where the group is.
So you guys tie off the rope. Tess and Jack, you guys make this stone ramp leading to the hole that Tess created. And Litsea, what are you up to?
Well, to whoever's around, I just want to say, time that we send a message to Lilith to let her know to come. So I'll take out the sending stone and conjure up a message and say, Lilith, it's time. We really need you and as many people as we can get to help us. If you want to stay outside of Great Grumbopolis and be our reinforcements, we would greatly appreciate that. And good luck.
A huge, bright, neon blue teleportation circle will start to form. Runes will glow from the ground, and it will make this huge circle right underneath Great Grumbopolis, and you see the entire army, the entire left civilization of Fort Outcast appear underneath Great Grumbopolis with Lilith Flamepike in the lead of this huge army of people. And with that, I think that's where we're going to end our session for tonight. My name is Cade. I'm the host and dungeon master of this Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition adventure, and I'm joined here by the players to my left.
Mason playing Lakir.
Brooklyn playing Litsea.
Jameson playing Jack.
Danny playing Tess.
Caden playing Torinn.
Awesome. If you love this podcast, go on over to patreon.com/knocked and check out our Patreon. We are going to do something after the finale of this campaign called Talked Prone. Now, Talked Prone is going to be where we all sit around this table together and discuss the highs and the lows of this campaign, get some background information on what was happening, and then potentially even start doing Talked Prone on a weekly basis going forward. So if you are interested in hearing some background information about our characters, if you're interested in supporting our page, it would make all of our hearts swell. So go on over to patreon.com/knocked. That's KNOCKED. And we hope that you remember when life knocks you flat on your back, all you got to do is keep rolling. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.